So ammonia is something that's made from excess protein, or when we have liver damage. So that causes damage to the brain cells, and it can cause fatigue and various kinds of issues. High dose zinc can cause issues with your sex hormones, with immunity. Believe it or not, like high dose zinc can actually make you more susceptible to catching specific types of omega-3s. Are by and large safe for most people. NAC at a small dose is by and large safe for most people. Creatine at a proper dose is safe for most people. Vitamin D at 1 to 2000 IU is safe for most people. So there are things like that you can generally recommend, like if you take it at these doses, and these are helpful.
Biohacker and a functional medicine expert, helping people by diagnosing and treating over 150 conditions. Our guest today on the Settle or Be Better podcast is Mr. Yohan. He's going to be talking to us about preventing chronic diseases and biohacking in India. So welcome, Yohan, and over to you. Why don't you begin by telling us a little bit about your personal health and well-being story and your current role?
Hey Sakshi, thanks for giving me the opportunity to come on and present my views in your podcast. My health journey is really crazy. Like I started out almost 10 years back. I mean, it goes back even further than that, because I used to have a lot of chronic skin issues in my school. Like I would have, very bad cystic acne, seborrheic dermatitis, chronic fatigue, constant belching, burping throughout the day, and very bad tonsillitis, like constant nasal drip. These are some of them, but I had a couple of others also. But these were the major things that struggle with, and these wouldn't just come to the extent that it happens for most other people. Like when I say all of these, it was the most extreme version of all of these. Like if I'm saying chronic fatigue, then I would yawn 100 times throughout the day. Like in this podcast itself, I would be yawning right now, a couple of times. If I'm saying chronic burping, in the podcast itself, I would be burping 20-30 times. Even with acne, it wasn't the regular kind, deep, painful, inflammatory cysts, not just on the face, but all over the body. And even with seborrheic, so for people who don't know, seborrheic dermatitis is a chronic inflammatory skin condition. One of its primary manifestations is dandruff. So I didn't even have dandruff. I had proper cradle cap, what the kids get. Some infants get it in pediatrics. Entire scalp gets covered with thick white flakes. So I would have that. I would have it spread to my face, my chest. So all of these, the worst manifestations of all of these, basically I was struggling with for many years. And I was constantly trying to figure it out, because it was not something that was internal. A lot of people have diabetes or chronic kidney disease or various kinds of health issues, but it doesn't show to the outside world. But when you have chronic skin problems, it's on constant display. And I always wanted to get into podcasting or doing public work in different areas. So I wanted to fix that. That was one of my primary motivations to get into biohacking and preventive medicine. And also seeing my family, my dad got an autoimmune disorder in his 40s. Okay, and my grandmom, she had heart issues in her 40s. She got a stent put, and then later on she'll end up developing chronic kidney disease. And the last 2 years of her life were as good as she wasn't there, because she's this lively, outgoing person who do a lot for the community and stuff. And then the last 2 years of her life is just literally going to the hospital, coming back, sleeping, lying down on the bed most of the time, not talking much, then going back and doing the same thing again, literally for months on end. So I didn't want to land up like that. Basically, I didn't want to land up getting such a bad chronic disease. Even my father, when he got diagnosed, he had a very severe, manifestation of myasthenia gravis. So it's an autoimmune disorder where the immune system attacks the muscle receptors, for the voluntary muscles. So it starts with the eyelids. The eyelids start drooping, and then if it progresses further than that, you can lose control of your hands and land up dying as a result of that. So he ended up having a very bad attack, and we had to fly him down from Oman. My parents stay in Muscat, so they had to come down and immediately get hospitalized and stuff. And then eventually he had to get surgery and remove his thymus gland, and he went on the ventilator, and very bad experience. So I saw all that, and at the same time I was going through my own shit as well, and that's very strong motivation. Also, I saw up close how the mainstream medical system manages these conditions through my own family, and they clearly weren't cured or even put into remission or something. My dad definitely did get a lot of symptomatic relief after doing the surgery and with the medication that he was on. But when we're typically thinking about chronic diseases and stuff, we want to get into optimal health by reversing the trajectory and taking us back to how we used to be in our youth, or when we didn't have the disease. So I clearly didn't see that happening with mainstream medicine. So I was fully dedicated, I have to fix fix my health issues without going to any doctor, and like I'll take my couple of years, I'll do my own research, but I'll figure it out, because I was following a lot of people online. Like I got interested in health and wellness after I had like a spiritual awakening in college. So then I started following people, you know, who were talking about how we can take control of our own health and how we can fix a lot of stuff with diet and lifestyle. So I initially became a vegan, like believe it or not. Yeah, I was a vegan for a year, and that didn't solve my health issues. Like it made some of them worse. It like some of it slightly got better. That's because I cut out a lot of seed oils and, you know, processed foods and everything. And at that time it was a radical shift, because I mean now like it's all of this stuff has got pretty popular, but I'm talking, this is like 9 years back in 2018 or so, you know. So like no public awareness or anything. People thought I was a wacko for even like trying all this stuff on myself. But I did that for a year. It didn't give me relief, and I became a convert after watching all these weekend documentaries and everything. Then after that I just kept going deeper down the rabbit hole. So then I became a big Dr. Mercola fan, and then I got converted to like a ketogenic lifestyle. So for a year and a half I did continuous ketosis. That made my skin problems worse, actually, believe it or not. But that it made my mental processing much better. It drastically reduced my hunger pangs. It also made my like belching problem much worse. So like a lot of things got worse and some things got better on keto. So again, I didn't get what I was expecting, but I stuck with it for 1.5 years regardless. I also lost a lot of weight. I was very skinny to begin with anyway. That happened, and then like I didn't want to give up ever. Like I was just like, okay, if this doesn't work, there must be something else. Then I tried the carnivore diet, because the carnivore diet was picking up at the time. And then Michaela and like all these people were getting popular, and they just came on Joe Rogan and stuff. So I tried that. Even that didn't like, you know, really help. Like it was a bit better than doing the ketogenic diet, because it did improve like my, you know, mental focus and stuff even better, and the energy and all like got improved much more that way, which is again like an issue that I was struggling with. But in terms of skin health, like really, and I was like bummed, because I was seeing all these amazing, you know, testimonials of people like putting up, you know, videos and pictures of the
cure for everything, like from skin issues to everything is what.
And then I didn't get any of that, so I was like really disappointed, because I thought, I mean, looking at the kind of people who were trying it and getting results from years of autoimmune like psoriasis and eczema, and you know, all of, even like a lot of people put up the acne stories as well. I didn't get any of that, so again like I was super bummed and almost like very, you know, I mean it kind of mentally it does weigh you down, because you don't have any like medical support, because you're trying to do everything yourself, and then you don't have any like community, because all this stuff is so new, so you don't have anyone to like who really understand. Most people just think like fucking go to a doctor, you know, like why are you wasting your time doing this shit? So then I still kept going, and then I was like, okay, the podcast and the lifestyle hacks and everything haven't worked. Like I tried grounding, I tried cold plunges. Like I actually went to a retreat and, you know, tried doing like they literally had these tubs which they immersed in ice, like entirely like brimmed with ice, you know. I tried going in that, and it gave me the worst seborrheic dermatitis flare up I've had in my life. Like my face was red and like inflamed for 2-3 days after that. Okay, so even that didn't work. I tried going to the sauna, actually bought a sauna at my place and tried like using that for a couple of years at least, and that consistently made my seborrheic dermatitis worse. And then I was like even more like, you know, all this stuff is confusing me so much, because all these people are like, it's great for collagen synthesis and it's like anti-inflammatory, it increases energy in the mitochondria and all that. I'm like, fucking hell, like what am I like, am I not made of the same stuff that everyone else is? Because nothing, you know, seems to work on me the way in which it's advertised that way. So I was like, fuck all this shit, I have to pursue this properly academically, you know, like I have to get into this full time. Only then can I expect something, because I'm a very unique case. Like clearly, like I understood that time that, you know, what works for most people doesn't work for me. So then I took a plunge properly, and I did my bachelor's in nutrition science. I did my functional medicine training from one of the best places in America, that's Dr. Brian Walsh's academy. And ever since then, like the more I learned about diagnostics and how to actually find the root causes of various chronic conditions, I just kept applying that on myself one by one. And the more tests that I did, like, I mean, firstly, so I was just learning, you know, and as and when I learned, I just kept applying it on myself, because I was anyway doing blood tests since 2018. But then like properly pursuing it gave me different optimal ranges, more nuances in terms of actually like what they mean, the patterns between the tests, like how to find the root causes from that, and then how the interventions change. So the more I was learning and applying in blood tests, then I did courses in genetics, like how to integrate genetics with functional medicine and blood work. I did courses in gut microbiome evaluation, organic acids testing evaluation. So the more I was learning about all these tests and applying it on myself, like one by one I started finding out, okay, I have a mold problem. problem. Like I did my genetic test and I did my one of the infection panels I did from abroad, because you don't get mold testing here in India.
Right.
And then I figured out I was living in a moldy house. Then like I figured out like that was one of the root causes for, you know, my cystic acne at least. So working on the mold toxicity did give me like a lot of relief. I figured out I had a severe vitamin A deficiency. So, you know, eating liver every day, like that's something I'd seen benefits with early also. Like when I was doing the carnivore diet, like when I would have liver consistently, I had noticed, you know, like my acne would get a bit better. So I had it in my mind that there's some connection over there, which I eventually figured like it's mainly because of the vitamin A when I did my blood test. So then like I got on a proper, you know, vitamin A supplement, and it really helped my acne a lot. So I just kept figuring out one by one, like my dandruff and my seborrheic dermatitis was because I had like a higher need for B6 and biotin, and those would get degraded like every time I would go in the sunlight or I would go in the sauna. It actually increases the need for some of these B vitamins. So everything started coming together in terms of being able to explain like why whatever happened. Like even the ketogenic diet is something that increases the need for these B vitamins specifically. Then I saw some videos of functional medicine doctors talking about the experience of some clients with keto who get, you know, like sebderm flare-ups, and this is the thing that worked for them. So that gave me a lead about that. So it was an amazing journey in terms of like it took me like 6-7 years to figure out entirely, but I finally fixed myself after all of that. Like every single symptom is now like zero in terms of like the intensity that I told you about. Then I started working with a healthcare startup who hired me, and I was basically the chief knowledge officer for 3 years. Whatever I had learned till that point and kept learning, like I would pass on, so all that knowledge would get implemented on the patients that they were seeing, both in terms of diagnostics knowledge and treatments knowledge. I also used to teach over there. Like I had my own courses, and I would teach like doctors and homeopaths and like sports people and nutritionists and everyone, like all about like what I was learning about diagnostics and treatment. And then I left from there like a couple of months back, and I'm doing my own like practice now. So I have just launched my own courses, and I see patients like all days a week pretty much. So yeah, that's just a bit about.
Amazing. That's an interesting story, and kudos to you for, you know, successfully helping your own self, taking care of your health, and, you know, having the patience for 6-7 years is very difficult. I mean, people give up in just a month of doing stuff or trying out to, you know, take care of yourself or trying to understand what's happening with you, and they just run to the doctor because we are very impatient, we have work, and we can't be sick for so long. So that happens, right? I mean, kudos to you for doing that, and thank you so much for coming on the podcast today. We're so glad you're here, and there's so much we can talk about today. What works now for you? I mean, what have you found in terms of your nutrition that works for you after trying out all of these things that you just spoke about?
So again, this is me, right? So I want to like strongly stress the concept of bio-individuality. Like that really changed a lot for me, because I think most people, with the way in which we're wired and like how we're raised also, we don't inherently know how to think deeply, logically or scientifically. We're just like, you know, inherently biased beings. Like we want to belong to groups, and, you know, we tend to like anecdotally kind of presume a lot of things. Like if we tried something, it's worked for us, then it means like it's, you know, it's great for everyone, so we should start like talking about it. I mean, I had some of that, because whenever I've delved into any diet, I would always become an evangelist for it. It's through my own struggle and actually like going deeper and deeper, and I kept learning, and I just wanted to get as close to the truth as possible and not let my biases come in the way. So the one principle that has really helped me a lot in terms of getting results with patients also, and even like with my own intellectual exploration, is that everyone's radically different. The amount of factors that are just different between you and me in terms of so many like millions of different genetics that we can have, both of us can have variants in different areas, which will like incredibly change our health manifestation or our disease risks or what symptoms we're likely to get. That our microbiomes are like host factors with our vitamins and minerals, and like so much stuff out there that just differentiates you and me. Forget like the, you know, 1.3 like how many ever billion people there are on the planet right now. So that's the concept with which I have like worked with throughout ever since I've got my breakthroughs. And this is why like every single thing I even apply on patients, like even if 2 people come to me for an acne problem, like their protocols are entirely different because their root causes are different based on the tests. You know, in terms of what works for me, it's just like what works for me. But that being said, there are some general principles which are mostly true for most people. So that's the starting place. So in terms of my diet, I try to follow a broad Mediterranean style diet now. So that includes having like you know, well prepared whole grains, fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, fermented food, like quite a lot of fermented food, and good quality protein sources. So the focus is primarily on like fiber and protein that way, in terms of like how I'm eating. And in terms of protein, like everything from like red meat and chicken, seafood, eggs, pretty much all of that. And then of course, like my main aim is to hit my protein target for the day. So I'll try try to hit like 1.2 on days I'm not working out, 1.6 on the days that I am working out. And other than that, like just try to have a broad, diverse variety of plant foods, which is actually like I had to do a lot of unlearning for that, because when I was a vegan, it was easy. Then I went like keto carnivore, then it's like everyone's just demonizing plant foods and oxalates and phytates and lectins and like all these things. And I totally stopped eating that. Like even after doing carnivore for I think 2 to 3 years, I was doing like mostly animal based, with simple carbs and animal food. But the more I kept like learning and researching, and the more I learned about like how science is done or the value of different studies and stuff, and started reviewing the literature myself, I mean, I came to appreciate the power of like plant foods more than like how some people demonize them today. I believe that every single food group has positives and negatives, and for different sets of people they can be harmful or they can be a panacea. Like someone who has severe like sensitivity to oxalate because they have certain genetics for that, they won't do so well with dark chocolate and spinach and sweet potato and all that. But like it's not true for like many people. Many people can do fine with oxalates actually. And there are ways to like reduce the absorption. Same thing with phytates. Like I had one client recently who came to me like after being carnivore for a very long time. Like he's following Paul Saladino every day and having red meat and organs. And the entire COVID time, like everyone was like vitamin C. So this guy is going and getting vitamin C IVs, and he's taking like vitamin C, like 1 to 2 grams every day minimum. And he landed up with severe hemochromatosis. Like he had very, very bad iron overload. Like his ferritin was 550, 600 or something like that. Very, very high ferritin. And then I mean, because of that, he had low testosterone, he had insulin resistance, he had like a lot of damage just because of iron overload, like severe chronic inflammation, many other things. So yeah, one man's food can be another man's poison. But in terms of like what works for me now, I definitely like try to keep my diet piece that way. Stress management is very important, so like daily meditation, gratitude journaling. I don't go out and get sun that much. I would want to, but like I'm still in the process where I want to get confident that my skin's like fully on point, which I'm almost there. Like in the last couple of months, I've had crazy upgrades in terms of how my skin is, even in terms of its resilience, and not like getting those once in a while breakouts also, or like tearing up. So I want to go out and start taking like reasonable sun exposure daily, because that itself has a lot of benefits that you can get in terms of mood boosting or like immune modulating properties. There's so much in the sun. Like vitamin D is like one thing, but then even like for blood pressure, for red light that you get from the sun, many things. Even UV has its own benefits, like even though it's demonized. That along with just like clean water, of course, like reverse osmosis water. And my main focus is on customizing my supplement stack according to what my blood test results come back as every month. So I do like I test for 150 biomarkers every month. I track them monthly. So I use like platforms like Self-Decode. So Self-Decode does your genetic testing entirely. So they look for millions of variants in you, and they have reports where all of that is like summarized in easy language. So you can understand like how it impacts your risk of different diseases and symptoms. They allow you to upload your blood test as well. So you upload your blood test, you put your symptoms there, you have your genetics, and then the AI like in the platform gives you personalized recommendation for things in a ranked order, which will target all of those problematic areas. So I've just been like researching that more and more for myself, like applying it, and my health keeps getting better every month, because I get feedback from the tests, like if I'm trying a new supplement or something, like something changes symptomatically, or I see improvement in some blood markers that I had that way. And I have certain goals also. So my supplements are customized to like prevent whatever symptoms I have right now, which they're doing fantastically. Then I also want to reduce my risk of the diseases that I have. So I have high risk of stroke, I have high risk of heart disease. So then like I'm very passionate about like understanding the causes for like why all of that happens, and then accordingly like doing lifestyle diet and supplement changes that help me to not ever develop that. Track those risk factors month on month. So I track my blood pressure, along with like even my VO2 max is something that I've tracked. So I'm passionate about life extension and longevity also. So I track that, and then I do things. So I'm basically like month on month just tracking myself as extensively as possible. Like I even do radiology tests. So I recently got a full body MRI done, and then like it's pretty cool now. Some of the labs now, they're giving you estimates of your brain age. Like they tell you how much your brain has aged in terms of like biological aging, not chronological age, but then like how much biological aging you have of your brain compared to most of the population. So we have really, really cool stuff in the diagnostic space right now. Like even with cancer research, like this is a breakthrough breakthrough we've had in the last year or two, where we can now screen for the tumor cells in the blood. Before this was not possible a couple of years back. Like, you'd have to wait till you go to late stage cancer and then get a PET scan and find out. But now we actually have the power with just blood tests, which aren't so expensive, also to screen for most cancers, like in the blood itself. And these are very sensitive. Like, the tumor starts shedding these cells in the blood like in stage 0 and 1 each. So a lot of things can be caught at that stage, and that's where it's the easiest to help. Otherwise, if you wait for the cancer to spread to the entire body, then it's it's much harder. So I'm really big on diagnostics, and just like learning as much as I can about that. And then I try to educate the community at large. So I told you I have my own courses. So now I'm like running the first batch where we have around like 50 people in my first batch. So I'm like teaching all of this to them, and just the aim is to make as much large scale impact, because then it's like all these people, and of course I'm doing my own thing with my own practice, like helping my own patients, but then like teaching practitioners and people who have access and influence to so many people, then it just like has a exponential effect overall. Yeah, I mean, that's how I maintain my health right now, pretty much.
Amazing. That was so much information in just a few minutes, and thank you for sharing that. And when you talk about like get tests done every single month to sort of change your supplement plan, or what works or what doesn't work, is that very specific to you, given to your medical history, or do you also suggest that to your patients, or somebody who's just curious to improve their health? Because I don't think like I have friends who have normal like corporate job and busy working hours, or even my parents, people my parents' age, like they would get their tests done every 6 months, like if they are that aware about it. Otherwise it's just like once a year or something like that, right? Getting tests done every single month is very bizarre for some people. I mean, someone won't even invest that much time or to learn about it or do something. So what is the bare minimum that you should just do it? It's a non-negotiable in terms of testing, diagnosing, that you should not miss, no matter what age you are at right now, especially if you're young and you are someone who's taking care of your health. What is the bare minimum? Like, you cannot manage to miss that at all. Where do we begin?
My first advice always to people is that you cover the basics first. So we went over like diet, just like sensible sun exposure, daily grounding is helpful, it's free, like you can get like a lot of anti-inflammatory benefits just by going out and walking barefoot on the beach or like park, like in the grass and stuff. That's something that's totally free. Stress mitigation like is very important part of living in the 21st century. Overall, just eating in a way that benefits your microbiome. So eating like fermented foods and stuff in your diet, that's a good insurance policy for like not developing severe gut problems in the future. Sleep is super important. We didn't touch on that, but just trying to get like 7 to 9 hours of good sleep, blocking the blue light at night. There's many apps we get now which like block blue light, having like exposing your eyes to morning sun. These are all like very simple, easy things to get started. Just clean your diet up, eat non-ultra processed, like eat packaged food, just eat like focus on eating whole real food, meet your protein target. These are like all basic pillars, foundational pillars of like starting your health journey. But it's not about stopping there, because a lot of chronic health diseases, like I remember I was talking to some potential like clients yesterday and who were very old. So one person was in the room like this, 3 of them who already had like severe symptoms, but then this one person like didn't have much and he was in his 70s. So he's trying to like play devil's advocate with me, like why should I do all this when I'm 70 and I'm like pretty decent? So I'll tell you what I told him. Basically, look, most of the chronic diseases that kill people, like heart disease, chronic kidney disease, stroke even, these don't show any symptoms till you get it.
True.
Okay, like this is fascinating for me to learn when I like really dug into the literature on these. But literally till these are in the last stage, they will not show symptoms. Like chronic kidney disease, you won't get a single symptom till you're on like stage 4, stage 5 CKD, where kidney function is gone. So you're playing blind basically till then. Even for heart disease, like you can have very high risk factors, like you can have genetically high lipoprotein A levels, or like familial hypocholesterolemia, or like very bad insulin resistance and diabetes for life. So that itself can make you develop like heart issues as a result. We'll go into heart disease risk factors today if we get the time, but that's a big killer. It's the biggest killer in the world, and most people die to it. And the first symptom you get is like a heart attack, or some heart related thing. So you're not going to be able to like pick that up until you don't look inside, even if you're like generally doing things well. But you can still have risk factors which you can pick up with some simple blood tests. So coming to the blood tests and like what I recommend, I've thought this out very carefully. So as I said, like I've been doing doing blood tests on myself since 2018. So I started with ThyroCare, where I was just doing like the Arogamics package, which is like a comprehensive package. But then I used them for 4 years, and I started finding discrepancies in the test results and stuff. So then I like started thinking about moving to other labs. So I started researching all the other labs out there, and at the same time I kept learning more about individual biomarkers and like what the utility is for different conditions and symptoms and stuff. So I just kept researching the blood test more, and then I kind of like made a list of the stuff that's important for everyone. So the idea is like if you go to a regular lab right now, even to like Lalpath or any lab, and you get a comprehensive package done, for most labs you'll get like 70 to 80 markers, which is a good starting point. A lot of these packages, like they don't cover very important markers. Like some of them are missed. I'll give you some examples of those. One of them is thyroid antibodies. Like most people don't screen for these. You know, even like your endocrinologist or something, like even if they ask for thyroid labs, they mainly look at TSH and at the most like total T3, total T4. I mean, this is not generalizing. It's like for most people, but like there's some smart endos or stuff who order free T3 and thyroid antibodies. But for the most part, most of them are looking at TSH. I screen for thyroid antibodies in all my patients, and that way I have been able to catch early thyroid damage, like before even the hormones get dysregulated or before even the TSH starts to rise. You start to see, like the thyroid is being attacked at that point. So people will have both antibodies in the hundreds, and we know this clearly in the literature. Like they've done studies on this where like you'll have, if your thyroid antibodies start getting elevated today, you'll get Hashimoto's like 5 years, 10 years down the line. Why do you want to wait till then? You can start working on your autoimmunity like just by finding out that even though you don't have thyroid symptoms, or like the problem with healthcare and how most people approach health, it's a very reactive approach. People wait for symptoms to come, and then they like either some pain or some lump in some part of the body, or like they start getting hair fall and overweight, and like they suspect they have thyroid. So it's a very reactive approach. But like what I'm trying to like get out to everyone is that you have to be very proactive. I'm going to do my genetic test for my child the first day he's born, so I can like have that, and I start testing him way at an appropriate age for his blood test at least, so that like we know his risk factors and we can at least like change things personalized to him that way. So we want to firstly get in a proactive seat in terms of how we're thinking about health. I mean, like other than thyroid antibodies, there's other things that aren't covered in normal tests. So there's lipoprotein A levels. Like by including lipoprotein A in my packages, I have been able to tell like many people who come to me in their 20s, 30s, 40s. So I have like my audience is pretty diverse. Like old people follow me, and like very young people follow me also. So like some of these young people, they don't have any issues. Like a couple of them come to me just for Yohan Bhaiya, like I want to get like optimize my mindset, or I just want to get healthier and stuff. So they don't really have like serious problems as such. But then when I do the labs, like I'll end up finding they have high lipoprotein A. So these people are candidates for heart attacks in like 2-3 decades from now. So just having that knowledge and then starting to work on like controlling all the other heart disease risk factors when you have genetically high levels of this protein. So what is this protein? I mean, for people who don't know, lipoprotein A is one of the most important risk factors for heart disease. It's one of the most plaque causing proteins in the blood. Okay, so most people know about LDL cholesterol, like because most cardiologists screen for that. LDL is basically carried in these proteins called apolipoprotein B, and it's the number of those in the blood that drastically increases heart diseases. So most people look at the LDL cholesterol, but then it's actually a proxy. It's not like that's why we see so many discrepancies with LDL, because you'll many times see like many studies, they find like people have higher LDL levels, but in some cases they don't end up getting heart events. So LDL is like it's a proxy. I mean, it's like think of the number of cars on the road and how many people there are in the cars. So if you assume that every car has 4 people, and you take that as a proxy, like you take 4 people as a proxy for the cars, the number of cars, and you assume 4 people is like 1 car, you'll end up getting it right many times. But many times the car might just have 1 person, many times it might have like 5 people. So it's a loose estimate. I mean, it's not perfect. So same thing with this. So in all my patients, instead of LDL, I screen for ApoB. So that gives me the actual burden of how many atherogenic proteins are there in the blood. And tracking that is even more important than tracking LDL, which is what like a lot of cardiologists aren't doing yet. But say if you listen to esteemed cardiologists who like publish papers, like everyone will tell you that ApoB is more important. And many times ApoB and LDL
diverge. Like many times they're the same, but then sometimes ApoB will be high and LDL will be low, and it can be the opposite as well. So in those kind of cases, it's the ApoB that's the main thing. And LPA is like ApoB, but it's worse than ApoB. So you can have like a smaller amount of it, but it's much more harmful. So those are very important to screen for in terms of heart disease risk, and that's something I do follow my patients. And I don't mean to like leave people with the impression that it's only the proteins, like the atherogenic proteins, which are important, because heart disease is a very multifactorial thing. Like it's not just the amount of lipoproteins you have, but also like how much chronic inflammation you have, how insulin sensitive you are, how much clotting you have in the blood, what your testosterone levels are, what your vitamin D levels are, many more things, like even homocysteine, like omega-3 index. All of these things are things I test for. Homocysteine is also something that most people don't test for. It's a biomarker that can drastically increase the risk of Alzheimer's and heart disease. That's something I screen for in everyone. Omega-3 index is something most people don't screen for, but it's probably one of the best tests we have right now in terms of like if you test for it, and it's very easy to fix by just using the right dose of EPA and DHA. You can like increase your life expectancy, cut your risk of like heart attacks and many heart issues, and improve your autoimmune symptoms, and like so much just by optimizing that one omega-3 index. So I'm giving some examples, but like I have a very long lengthy panel that has like all of these pearls I've learned over the years in terms of like which additional tests can help. I've tried to incorporate and have all of that over there. Like I screen for PSA levels in men so we can catch prostate cancer or like prostate issues early before they actually get to a worse stage. So I try to focus a lot on having things in the package which will actually not just help me with the person's symptoms. So even for symptomatic coverage, like my package is very broad. So for example, in the liver, I won't just screen for the regular liver test. I'll also screen for ammonia. So ammonia is something that's made from excess protein or when we have liver damage. So that causes like damage to the brain cells, and it can cause fatigue and various kinds of issues. So all the sections you see that's divided, like I'll have more markers over there that I've studied which are actually clinically relevant. Like even in the lipid section, I told you like LPA, ApoB, that way. So there's a lot of differences in every single area. Like even for the kidneys, I'll have some like more screening, more than just looking at creatinine in general. Like we'll also look at the microalbumin to creatinine ratio in the urine, and if I suspect someone has more kidney problems, I'll order like. So there's always like further tests as well. Like someone comes once and then I'm confused. Like I once got this very muscular dude who came to me who had a creatinine of like 1.3. So it was a confusing case because creatinine can go up like 0.1, 0.2 if you have more muscle mass or you're supplementing with creatine, and he was. So like, okay, I want to rule this out. So I ordered cystatin C. So that's a test which doesn't get influenced by muscle mass or by creatine intake and stuff. And he was normal in that. So he didn't have any kidney issues. Like his creatinine was elevated that much because of his body mass and how much creatine he was taking. So there's always like even deeper detective work to do. Like someone will come to you with some stuff, and the package covers most of it, but then there's like thousands of other tests as well that are available. So you can always dig in more depending on like where someone's showing you a problem. Like someone will come to me and their blood work suggests like they have very bad infection issues. Then you have to go deeper and order like a stool test so you can see the entire microbiome and see the burden of the infections and things they have. So yeah, like that's a summary, but there's a lot like that in the package which kind of I've put in there with careful thought that helps me with all of these purposes.
Right. It's great to have you here, and that people can actually reach out to you and find the right sources, what kind of tests were done, and also to have the correct diagnosis as early as possible. So there'll be links in the description below for the ones who'd like to reach out to you and probably get a consultation with you, work with you.
Sure.
They can actually reach out and learn a lot more from you. But talking about supplements, since it looks like another major part of your work, correct me if I'm wrong, whenever you're helping your clients or also yourself, there are many people who are just taking supplements without any tests, right? After COVID, like a huge chunk of people are just doing it for the sake of the immunity, or they feel like they've seen it somewhere and it's talked about that way. So what supplements would you like people to be careful about specifically? Because I'm sure that they're not overdoing it, because even they might have that kind of a fever somewhere or the other. It might be just like one supplement each day or anything, and most of the time it's usually what I've seen people know about. It's multivitamins, vitamin C, vitamin D, and omega-3. Like people are becoming more aware of it, and mostly they won't take more than one supplement, one pill a day, right? So what is it that you would like them aware of, and to probably be more careful about? Of course, there's testing which they definitely need to get done, but is there a supplement that they should be aware of, even in terms of like protein or creatine, like whatever they're consuming when people go to the gym and they're talking to each other that you should take the supplement and have creatine, have this. So what is it that people should be more careful about when they are just getting it done on themselves by their own without a consultation from doctor?
Sure. So this is another concept that's helped me a lot in my journey, is to realize the importance that all natural compounds have side effects. Like
Right.
how much ever people want to say that natural compounds are safe and they don't, you can take them how much ever you want and they won't cause any issues. That's a big load of crap that can seriously like damage someone's health. Because I've experienced it myself. Like I didn't tell you, but I have, in the pursuit of like solving certain symptoms, I have overdosed on vitamin B3 and I have overdosed on vitamin A. Vitamin B3, like niacin, this niacin flush that a lot of people recommend. Like I
Right.
tried that and I went for a really high dose. Initially I tried it. So for those people who don't know, like there's a lot of people out there who recommend that you should take high dose niacin because it gives you like this, you get a flush from that, like your blood vessels dilate and you get like this rush a couple of minutes after taking it. So I used to take it and then I got the flush for a couple of days and then the flush went away at the same dose. Then I heard one person say that, okay, if the flush goes away, then your tolerance has increased. So now you need to take more. So then I took more and I got the flush and then again it went away. So I was like, fucking hell, like I need to take more. That way, I'm just like upping and upping and upping. And that was like stupid of me to do because there was some data about like vitamin B3 side effects, but you know how it is with B vitamins. Like a lot of even doctors online, they'll tell you they're water soluble, like they'll get removed from your body, so you don't have to like really worry about them too much. So I just, with that assumption, I kind of kept taking it, and then I landed up with the worst health problems of my life. Like it was bad. My face like literally swelled up. Thankfully, like my parents weren't at home. Like we'd gone for a family trip and then they left for Oman and I came home and I was alone. And if they saw that, they would have definitely like stopped me from doing everything and like stop what the fuck you're doing because it's really like messing you up. So I got that. I got conjunctivitis. I got very, very bad hives. Style, like face was like dry, white, like dandruff, and whatever I had got like 50 times worse, pretty much. Very bad. And I was like pretty much like in bed most of the day, and a very, very scary experience. So I learned that I had depleted all my body's methyl groups by doing that, because niacin actually increases like the demand for methyl groups because it needs more methyl groups to get excreted. And methylation is one of the most important processes in the body. Like it helps us to break down histamine, it helps to make creatine in the body. It's super important for like many things, even like genetic like expression of DNA and neurotransmitters and so much. So I messed up my entire methylation system. I'm pretty sure if I did my homocysteine test, then it would easily be like 80 or 100 or something. The normal ideal thing is supposed to be under 9. I didn't measure it then, but I'm just like sharing what I think it would be, based on like how severe I was. So I've experienced that. Then that took me a couple of weeks to recover from. So I took a lot of TMG and like just kept repleting myself with methyl groups and started getting better pretty fast. And then for fixing my acne, like I was taking vitamin A. So I was taking some vitamin A and it helped. I told you like the liver, trying liver helped me. So then I got down the vitamin A rabbit hole. And then I was trying vitamin A. So I tried a bit and got better, but I still have some breakouts once in a while. So I was like, I really want to like clear my skin entirely. I don't want any breakouts. So then I upped the dose and then like that helped. And then I was getting breakouts like once in 2 weeks or something, like one breakout here. I was like, I don't even want that, so let me try going higher. And I was taking liposomal vitamin A. This wasn't regular vitamin. So liposomal absorption of vitamins is like anywhere between like 10 to 15, 20 times more, depending on which nutrient we're talking about. And I knew that so this time I was very well aware because I'd already damaged my health with the niacin X high dose experiment. So I knew that the downsides of vitamin A toxicity. Like I knew it could accumulate in the liver. I knew it could cause liver damage. So I was not being reckless. Like I was tracking my liver enzymes every month. I was tracking my vitamin A blood levels every month to see if and the thing is the vitamin A blood levels weren't moving. So I was like, okay, I'm not going toxic clearly. And there was some liver damage. Like my liver enzymes were maybe in 50s, 60s, not too much. Like people typically have liver problems, the enzymes are in the 100s. So like, theek hai, thoda bahut hai, but it's good for the skin. Like, theek, chal jayega. It's not a problem. And then like I was overdosing, and then the last test I finally got, then my liver enzymes skyrocketed. Like my ALT was 150, 200, somewhere there. So like really skyrocketed. And then I was like, boss, I have to cut it now, like enough. And then I went down with the worst infection of my life, because when the liver gets screwed, like you can't really clear infections. So it's very important to clear infections and help with the immune system to make immunoglobulins and things also. I got the worst infection I ever got in my life. I was down for like 2 weeks entirely because of that way. So I've had these kind of experiences. So I always tell people, don't assume these things are safe at all. Everything is safe as long as you're getting the optimal amount and like your blood levels are being maintained in the ideal range. But you can always go toxic for something. And this is true regardless for every single vitamin we're talking about, like whatever you say. So even in small amounts, some supplements can be harmful for certain kinds of people. Like let's take the example of a man with hemochromatosis. Okay, like he has very bad iron overload. Having red meat every day is gonna like screw him up. He's gonna get like, he might be thinking he's gonna have more red meat, he's gonna get more testosterone, and he's gonna get like stronger, and he's gonna get more insulin sensitive by eating more protein. But like it's not true at all. Like if you have iron overload, the iron overload itself will damage your pancreas, it will damage your liver, it will damage your brain, it will damage the pituitary, and that will like make you have low testosterone and make you develop insulin resistance. Right? So you think something just by having a very layman understanding, or even like a moderate understanding by watching health podcasts and stuff, which is true for most people, right? I'm not saying like it's not, but then depending on certain conditions, even the stuff we promote as healthy for like a lot of people, that can change. I mean, and it goes true same for like animal and plant foods. Like someone who's coming to me with severe dysbiosis in the gut and they have like very bad like candida or parasites or something, they could react very badly to certain plant foods, like or someone who has severe autoimmunity or something. So then for those kind of people, like you have to try elimination diets and see like which plant foods they're reacting to. So typically the advice is like, eat a large variety of plant and animal foods. But then, as I said, like if you're not a regular case and you have serious health problems, it probably doesn't hold true for you. You need to do the diagnostics and figure out like exactly which components within all of these foods are causing issues for you, and then accordingly like structure your thing. All supplements like, and foods even like would fall under this category. Like even something as simple as creatine, just one trial on this, but anecdotally and clinical experience, we see it a lot. Like many people all over the world, because creatine is something that's taken by a lot of people, right? So it's not like a supplement that's taken less. I mean, like a lot of people are taking creatine. So of course, like the percentage, even if it's a small percentage, you'll see it being talked about more. Like maybe 10 million people took creatine and say like 5,000 of them developed hair fall as a result of that. So it's an insignificant statistic. Anecdotally, you will hear about it more because many more people are taking it. So we've seen that like some people get more hair fall because of taking creatine, and it stops. Like stop it, goes away, start it, comes back. It's very clear like temporal association, and there's some evidence in the literature, very early evidence to suggest that happens. Same thing with omega-3s, like high dose omega-3s can cause abnormal heart rhythms. There's a lot of literature starting to be published about that. High dose B12 can cause acne and increase your risk of cancer, believe it or not. So a lot of people just keep taking B12, and through like very good trials that it does increase cancer risk. Like if you go above a certain serum level of B12. Vitamin C is like probably one of my favorite things to talk about, because a lot of I've seen a lot of people who overdose and land up with issues. So vitamin C is something we know 200% increases the risk of kidney stones. If you overdose on vitamin C and you have the genetic susceptibility to develop kidney problems, like because of having oxalate issues, you will land up with like kidney stones and stuff a couple of months or years after taking high dose vitamin C. Right. So even something as benign as vitamin C, which people assume like you can just take, even zinc, like you can induce a severe copper deficiency by doing high dose zinc, can cause issues with your sex hormones, with immunity, believe it or not. Like high dose zinc can actually make you more susceptible to catching specific types of fungal infections and stuff. Everything like has this kind of literature on it. Like every vitamin you name, for me, I'll tell you like it's good for these set of people, but these set of people, even if they have decent amount, they can land up exacerbating their problem because of the issues they already have, or if they have a higher dose of it, they're more likely to get these kind of issues. Right. So there are some supplements that are generally safe for most people to take. If you take like a normal dose, like don't like go experiment with higher doses, but omega-3s are by and large safe for most people. NAC at a small dose is by and large safe for most people. Creatine at a proper dose is safe for most people. Vitamin D at 1 to 2000 IU is safe for most people. So there are things like that you can generally recommend, like if you take it at these doses, and these are helpful to take some of these compounds. I mean, magnesium, I mean, it's one of the most important things. So that at 200 to 400 mg is decent for most people. But even with that, I've seen like some elderly people who don't like whose kidneys aren't functioning so well, and they'll end up getting like higher serum magnesium levels, even if we give them like 400 milligrams of magnesium. So even something as safe as magnesium can potentially like be problematic for some types of people, you know, at a certain dose. So yeah, I mean, like if you're thinking about any of these things, like I did a masterclass actually. So it's just like a 3.5 hour masterclass where I take people like, these are the basic tests you can do. These are the ranges that it should be in. And then these are like the supplements that you can generally take to, you know, get it in that range at a safe dose. So I'd recommend like just like a 3.5 hour thing. So people can catch that if they just want like a, you know, introductory initiation into like how to start the basics, basic tests and basic supplements which can help to start your health journey. That's what I would recommend.
Awesome. Definitely. We will have the links in the description to reach out to you so they can learn a lot more and you know, get first-hand consultation from you, and definitely that will help them a lot with their health journeys right now. So thank you for sharing that. There was so much information in just this 1 hour, and unfortunately this brings us to the end of the episode today. We'll have to do like 10 of these to have in your brain and to get so much more out of you. But this brings us to the end of the episode today, and as we conclude, do you have any last specific thoughts to leave us?
Just like to say, if anyone's watching and they're struggling with chronic health issues, just know that like many of us who are doing this kind of work, we got into this because we had the same experiences as you. I mean, with different symptoms or different conditions, but like we understand the pain and the torment and like, you know, the agony of, you know, even having to go to multiple different experts and doctors and spending so much money and all this stuff. So just keep the hope alive. Like don't let that diminish. Like medical science has reached the level today where if you're getting your stuff done from the right person, like you can get crazy amount of improvement with no matter what symptoms you're struggling with. I can say that pretty confidently. So yeah, I mean, just like keep searching, be curious, like keep learning more and more every day about your health and how you can make it better. And it's something that pays off. Like the more you invest, like the more you get out of it. So yeah, that's what I'd like to leave people with.
Thank you so much, Yohan. That's a beautiful message. Thank you for coming here with us and spending this hour and educating us about so many things today. We hope to see you again and to learn a lot more from you. And once again, people will reach out to you and book consultation or learn a lot more from you much closely and follow your journey as well. So thank you once again for being here today.
Thanks, Sakshi. My pleasure. Have a good day.